I'm going to make a bold statement. You're not going to want to hear this, but you need to wait a Hey, it's your friend Valerie. Welcome to Validated. I have a topic that I didn't really think I'd be going into this early on. This is the message you do not want to hear, but you need to hear. Here is my ask of you. Would you hear me completely out? Would you listen to this entire episode before you say, forget you? I'm not doing that. Would you listen to it and then decide for yourself? You ultimately get to make whatever decision you want to with this. Here is the strong statement that you're not going to like. Are you ready for it? You should wait a year after your divorce is finalized before you start dating anybody. Ugh, I can hear it from here. You're not liking that. And boy, do I get that. The hardest thing, I think, when you have come out of a marriage, especially if you've been in it for very long, and you're used to that companionship, even if it's dysfunctional, it's still another person that you're with, and dysfunction can become comfortable, honestly and sadly. But all of a sudden, you're completely alone. Let's be honest. Many times there were parts of the relationship that were good, or maybe there was periods of time that were like more even keel that were good. And then they got difficult. So if it's like that, you have fond memories of those good times and you miss that relationship. And that's totally valid. You're used to being with somebody. And to go from being with somebody to you are alone is really hard. It's shocking on so many levels. And of course, you want to fill that void. That totally makes sense. And when I say you, I'm throwing myself in there because I was in the same boat. First of all, I want you to know I so relate with this feeling. I can honestly say, and this is so sad to say, that I never missed them at all in any way, shape, or form. And so it wasn't like, oh, I miss this about them, these things that we did together. I honestly didn't. It was all a relief. But that doesn't mean that I didn't struggle with being alone. All I ever wanted was a really great relationship with a really great guy and to feel cherished and treasured and like we were on a team together, we were partners, and we were tackling life together. So when I was first divorced, I was going to a church and there was a tiny small group of singles. And I was like, sure, I'll come to this group. It was such a different world to me. Being a single woman myself, it was just like, this is so weird. Because you're used to hanging out with couples when you're married. And so that felt different. There was a guy and a gal and another gal who would occasionally come. And the guy and I became good friends. Our times together as a group were just fun. And I just felt like, wow, this guy, he seems to really get it. He seems to listen and hear the things I've struggled with, and I feel seen and valued, and what a great friend. Now, mind you, this is somebody that in my past would not have been a guy that I would have thought of other than friend, but because he was so kind, quirky, funny, and a massive help to me in a really difficult time, I started crushing on him. We never talked about it. It was just kind of like, okay. So, but we would sometimes meet at a restaurant and have dinner together and then go our separate ways. And it was always just a great friendship. But I found myself thinking, I think I could really like this guy. And he's completely different than anybody I've ever dated. Maybe that's what I need. Somebody just totally different. There was a lot of things where I was like, great friend. Don't know that this would work for anything like a long-term relationship, but I don't want to just write this off if this could be a great thing. I remember him saying to me, Valerie, you're not going to want to hear this, but you need to wait a year before you date anybody. Honestly, I was so pissed at him. for saying that. I'm like, you don't know me. I don't need to wait a year. You have no idea what I've been through. You have no idea the hard work that I've been doing on myself. I am ready. I'm ready now. Like, let's go on a date right now, you know? And I was just so angry that he had the audacity to tell me that I should wait for a year. Who does he think he is? I was miffed, clearly. And I found myself thinking about what he said. And that's not all he said. That's all I heard at the moment. But as we talked more, he was like, you need to go through a year of healing at least. And for the length of time that you were married, it would be wise to take that time and that opportunity for yourself to discover you again, to heal, really heal. Go through all the seasons of a year. You've got birthdays, anniversary, your former wedding anniversary, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Mother's Day, Father's Day, all these triggers. If you muddy all of that by trying to jump into a relationship, you're going to short circuit your own healing and you're going to end up losing yourself before you ever found yourself. And I knew, dang it, he's right. It made me so mad, but I didn't have to like it. And so I was like, I'll think about it. And I'm thinking, and I think I wanted to date you. I was frustrated. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that guy was a truly amazing friend. He could have taken advantage of the fact that I was really hurting. I was sad and lonely and kind of desperate to fill that, not kind of. When you come out of a divorce, you are desperate to fill that vacancy. Let's be honest with ourselves. We don't like to sit alone in our pain. And if we can distract ourselves from it, the more distraction, the better. No. We need to get in touch with that. We need to ask ourselves, what is that? What can I learn from this? And how can I come to a place where I feel I'm good all by myself? I don't have to have somebody. So if we have to have somebody, we are setting up that relationship for failure before it's ever launched off the ground because nobody can meet your expectation. Also, let's look at the fact that you've got a lot of fresh stuff that you're comparing that new person to the old one. So at first it's like, it's all, they're nothing like them. They're amazing. And they probably are, but they're also human. And you are extremely vulnerable right now. And the best thing you can do for you is take a year for yourself. See, we look at this like, oh, this is like punishment. I have the right to date somebody. I'm going to do it. Yeah, you have the right to do pretty much whatever you want to do. But there will be a price to pay because you can't short circuit grieving. And whether we want to deal with it or not, you have to go through a grieving process. This is a death, you guys. This is the death of a marriage that was a relationship that you invested yourself in, that you worked on, that you believed in, probably prayed for, and it's gone. And that is devastating. And we have to allow ourselves to feel the feels, work through that grieving process, work through the sadness, work through the anger, not allow ourselves to become bitter. These are really critical things for you to truly move into your future. And so wisdom can step back and say, my emotions, I want this and I want it now. It's like In-N-Out Burger. I want it right now and fast. Our lives don't work that way. Our healing is a journey. Instead of looking at it as this is punishment and somebody trying to control me again. No, what about if you flipped that script and looked at it instead of I can't date? How about you look at this as empowerment? How about you look at it as a discovery process? If it feels like control, it's not control. This is actually you gifting yourself something so powerful, so meaningful. You're saying, I am so valuable. I am so worth taking this time to gift myself this gift of empowerment, this gift of discovery, this gift of healing. It's really about your healing. How about you look at it as a season to truly reclaim your unique voice? If I would have dated that guy and if he would have been willing to just say, I'm going to date her, oh my goodness, it would have been a train wreck. I guarantee you, it would have ruined the friendship and I would never have really discovered who I am and what really matters to me. Think of the movie Runaway Bride. If you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. You don't even know what kind of eggs you like. You need to figure out what kind of eggs you like. Some like them scrambled, some like them over easy, some like them over hard, some like them boiled, some like them poached. There's so many ways. A souffle, quiche, so many ways. And possibly you've been eating your eggs the way somebody else likes for a very long time. And maybe it's time to discover how you like your eggs. Through this journey, you will discover so many things about yourself. I discovered during that year that there was so many things that I did based on somebody else's voice I heard in my head. I had grown to ask permission for pretty much everything. So I learned to think, what would so-and-so want me to say? Or what would so-and-so think I should say? And I started thinking, what would Valerie say? What would Valerie think? Because Valerie has some feelings. She has some thoughts and opinions. And it's high time that she share those. And so it was a year of complete empowerment. Here's another really cool thing that happened during that first year. I had, previous to being married, I had really enjoyed weight training and going to the gym. And I was a gym rat for a season where I'd go twice a day. I'd go in the morning before work, and after work, I'd go again. This is when I was way younger, and I was just totally into it. In the course of my marriage, I stopped doing that for a variety of reasons, but I just came to not really want anything to do with it. Then when I did want to, I was told, we're not going to get a gym membership for you because you'll quit. And we both know you'll quit. I knew I couldn't get a gym membership. So when I found myself single again, I remember thinking I really should start working on myself, because I actually saw some pictures of myself. And when I saw those photos, I was a little freaked out. I was like, holy cow, girl has let herself go. Oh my goodness. I need to start eating healthy. I need to start moving. I've got aches and pains that I shouldn't have at that age. Maybe some, but not to the degree I was. I started getting to know this woman that has become a dear friend, very into fitness and nutrition. She was never pushy, but she would say, Valerie, you're either going to be sore from being sedentary or you're going to be sore from exercising and movement, and you get to choose which one it's going to be. I remember there was this one Saturday where I'd seen billboards around town for a gym where it was 21 days for $21 to trial it out. That particular Saturday, I'd been thinking about doing this, and I'd actually bought a couple small 5-pound and 2-pound weights. So I was doing a little something at home. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go join that today. Because if I don't do it today, I'm not going to do it. I know right now I'm in the zone in my mind. It's my window of opportunity. So I went ahead and joined, and I decided I'm going to give it the 21 days. It's only $21 and see what I think. I was so excited. I found myself so anxious because I felt like for 21 days, I got to show up every day. Dang it, I'm getting every $21 worth out of this gym. I went every day for 21 days, which was great because it helped me to start forming this new habit. And then I thought, you know what? I am going to hire a trainer because it's been years since I've lifted. Maybe the rules have changed. I'm a lot older, so I need somebody to help guide me in the safest and best way to do this. So I hired this trainer. Oh my gosh, she was so amazing. I loved her. And she just started dispelling all these lies that I believed, because she would say things like, we're going to do box jumps. And I go, oh no, I can't do those. And she's like, what? And I said, I can't do box jumps. I mean, I have some knee issues, but also I can't jump. And she's like, what do you mean you can't jump? And all of a sudden I realized, oh, that was the voice of somebody else that used to tell me that I couldn't jump because my feet didn't come off the ground. My heels came up, but the rest of my feet didn't come up when I jumped. I know that may sound silly, but when somebody tells you something over and over again, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. All these things just start chipping away at you. And I was like, I just realized the reason I said that is somebody told me that I couldn't jump. And she goes, okay, well, let me get out your chart here and I'm going to write that down. I can't jump. My feet don't come off the ground. And she said, we're going to check back on that in about a month. And I'm like, but I really can't jump. They really don't come off the ground. And so we started with training. And you guys, I went through a year of, oh my gosh, such a deep level of empowerment, spirit, soul, and body through that practice of going to the gym and meeting with my trainer and saying, okay, what do you got for me to do today, Skylar? And she'd give me all this stuff. And oh my gosh, I was sweating so hard. I was exhausted. My muscles were so sore and it felt so good. And by the time we got to that marker, I was doing box jumps. Now, I'm not talking like the big box jumps. These were the baby ones, but I was doing them. It was a huge mental overcoming thing for me of realizing, don't believe everything that you've been told about yourself. Tap into what strength you have. So had I not given myself that year, I wouldn't have dedicated myself to the time I did at the gym. It became a really big part of my life and continued to for years after that, to where I got to the point where it's like, yeah, I don't quit. I don't quit the gym. Instead, is I build my own gym. And I use that instead of going to a gym now. What it showed me is I'm a lot stronger mentally and emotionally, and I became physically stronger than I ever thought I could be. Weight training really is my happy place. Just doing that weight training caused me to be sharper, more on top of it in my day job. It built confidence, gave me more energy. And in that year coming out of divorce, you're exhausted. By the time that divorce is finalized, you have been through it. And to give yourself that time to just heal and recover and get your feet under you again is something so powerful, so meaningful. I can't encourage you enough to please consider this. Consider some of these points. Hey, I love you. I love doing this. This to me is such meaningful work, and I hope it's helpful for you. If it is, would you be willing to just leave me a comment letting me know that? You could go to validatedpodcast.com and send me a message there if you want to keep it private. I just want you to know what I'm doing came about because my painful past and my passion intersected. I believe this is some of the most important work that I could be doing. I apologize for all the imperfection of my videos. I'm literally learning how to do everything while I'm doing it. So it's not that hard to push play on your phone for recording, but learning how to edit and add music in, and I got to keep it interesting, got to keep it moving. So I'm trying to throw some B-roll in there, but I'm learning how to do this, you guys. And so I know it's far from perfect. I hope that it helps you. That is the heart behind doing this. I want you to know, if nobody has told you this, you're validated because God says you matter. I'm praying for you, and I believe in you. I believe you're stronger than you think. God will be with you. He'll never leave you, and he'll never forsake you. He's good.
Join me in part 2, where we're going to dig in even a little deeper and talk about some of the dangers that can be involved. We're also going to talk about some of the great things that you could miss out on if you start dating too soon. And hey, maybe you know somebody that this episode could really benefit. Would you take just a moment and share that with them? I'll see you in part 2. Just a reminder, I'm not a licensed therapist or medical professional. This podcast shares my personal experiences and perspectives for educational support, not professional advice. Identifying details have been changed for privacy. If you need help, contact a licensed mental health professional, trusted support, or crisis hotline. Full disclaimer is in the description.